People may be different. Green Bay is a small town, only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together: the Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast.
We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local field Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I'm Sanjay, and alongside me, like always, is Matt. No Fred today. We are live here in our home studios, brought to you by Game On Wisconsin. And yes, it kind of sucks because we are obviously on a 3-game losing streak here. It's definitely not what we expected. And I know we're all doing this at this moment. I mean, this I could just keep fucking playing this every single time, and it would never get old for this team, because this is how we feel in our, in our couches, in our recliners, and it is not fun to see us lose. I shut down media. I kind of shut down period with the NFL. I don't even give a shit about my fantasy right now. I'm all in on the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm like, look, you skip me to tomorrow so I can watch the Bucks, because at least I know I'll see a good product on the field or on the court. Matt, how you doing after the loss?
in typical fashion, we've reached Tuesday, and I've come down a little bit. It's still, I keep saying it's a good thing that the show is not on Mondays, because if it was on Mondays, dude,
It's not my fault.
I'd have a lot of regret about things I would say into the microphone. So, I echo all your sentiments, man. Very frustrating to be here. I cannot believe that this team is 3-4. I mean, all these preseason hype, conversations we all had, even when we were sitting 3-1, although it didn't look pretty at any point during that 3-1 stretch, we still had, this optimism about us. And I mean, how many times, did we sit here and say, well, this team's going to be, 6-1 going into Buffalo, or maybe 5-2 if they really, don't get it done. And we're 3-4. So I'm totally flabbergasted and frankly wasn't prepared whatsoever to be in this position. But nonetheless, here we are. And we'll do our best job, to not sound like psychopaths here for the next, 50 or so minutes.
Oh, no. No. We've got a green light for psycho. Okay. No. This is
Fred's
exactly
not here. Let's go
why we have this platform, is for shit like this. When we see him go on Pat McAfee and act a fool, when we see this team not act like they're supposed to, and we see, all pro players not play the way they're supposed to play, this is exactly the place that we need to air it all out. Okay.
Come vent. Get it. I want to see the chat comments, popping up.
Let it all rip.
Let it rip.
Yeah.
Let it rip.
I mean, everybody just wants to see me shave my head and eat a chip. No, you know what? Let's make the Packers do this. Let's make them have some sort of humiliation every freaking loss. Where they have to wear like tutus on the plane. Like, you guys are all wearing all this Gucci and shit. You know what? Why don't you wear clown outfits? Because that's what you guys are, a bunch of clowns. Because you can't even show up at your own in your own stadium, not let alone another stadium, which is also a home game for you in London and in Washington. Don't matter. It's always Packer fans showing up because we're there. We show up as fans. You can't show up as players. I'm tired of it, man. I really am. I honestly, I knew I was going to really vent today, and I know you will too. But let's just start with the offense, because this stupid offense, and I don't know if it's our head coach, if it's this, baffling quarterback that we have, or if it's this offensive line that's still trying to figure things out. I've been giving them more leeway because they finally shuffled the line. It only took them 5 weeks. Yeah, it looked a lot better. We finally gave Zach Tom a chance. We shuffled Elton Jenkins, which I've been saying for a long time. Maybe this guy needs to start at guard for a little bit. I know it was based on, Bakhtiari being out, but I do like that, they kind of are giving him a little bit less of a load. I know guard position's not as, stressful as a tackle position. I just think he needs that for these first, 8 weeks or so, whatever it is. I mean, this guy's coming back early already. We already said this in the offseason. Him coming back is a miracle in and of itself. So, but this offense comes out, runs an entire offense right away. We're like, oh, look at this. This is exactly what we've been saying. We had it in our group text. We're like, oh, give the ball to Aaron Jones, run the offense, equals a touchdown. Imagine that.
Weird.
This is what football looks like. And then right away, it's back to the same shit. And Matt, you called it. Muff punt, and this team just goes dark.
Call it the thing. They're going to do the thing.
The thing. Something goes wrong, and this offense is just stagnant, and it just forgets how to play football. And again, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. Maybe it's on Aaron Rodgers' Hall of Fame speech. We'll never know what happens when if it's play calling or if it's him changing things at the line. But I will give a little early pass to Rodgers because there was a lot of drops. A lot of freaking drops. And I'm glad we talked about it before the show, Matt. And I'll let you rant because this is your position. This is exactly why you've been basically clamoring and, pounding your fist on the freaking table for a receiver. The wide receivers, talk about it. Their drops, their inconsistencies, the injuries, because someone likes to keep getting hurt, found himself in a sling at the end of the game. Go ahead.
Well, I mean... I said it on Twitter today. I was arguing with a lot of people. So sorry to all those people that I was, coming after. But
I'm sorry I wasn't coming to your defense on Twitter.
This was predicted. I'm no guru, but it's like I could see this coming from 5 miles away. It's like, you guys spent multiple years not drafting offense, not drafting guys for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And when you did, it was 2018, and you drafted Jamon Moore, MVS, and EQ. No, none of them are on the team anymore. One of them's out of the league. And then the next time you added somebody was Amari Rodgers, and he's struggling to even get on the field. Once upon a time, Aaron Rodgers had, let's count them, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, James Jones, Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Jermichael Finley on the same team. That is how you treat your franchise Hall of Fame quarterback. You give them the tools to get the job done, and the Packers essentially let that receiver room bleed out of talent over the course of 10 years. And the last of the Mohicans was, Devontae Adams. He's the last one left. He's the only one left. And now he's gone.
I mean, technically Cobb is like,
I was gonna say, if it wasn't for Rodgers asking for Cobb back, he'd have nobody. Right. And he's out now with an ankle injury. I do not have a problem with what the Packers have done since they traded Adams. Obviously, you had to go draft a bunch of rookie receivers and try to get them up to speed. But that's, to me, where the crime was. It's like you didn't do that in the preceding years. You have a picky quarterback who just doesn't, for whatever reason, give a damn about young guys coming in. He makes them jump through hoops, and they have to do all this other shit to get on the same page with him. And that. So it's like, why didn't you prepare for that ahead of time? What makes me sick to my stomach is all these drafts, 2020, 2021, even last year and probably 2019, a lot of really good wide receiver prospects came out in the first 2 rounds. I don't think there's anybody in the Packer fan base right now. Maybe I shouldn't say anybody, but I know I would trade Jordan Love and Dylan in 2 seconds to go back to that draft and redo the first round. Do you think the Minnesota Vikings regret trading a shitload of picks to go up and get Justin Jefferson? No, you didn't. They don't regret that whatsoever. I think that Dobbs and Watson are the future here, but when you have a team who's in a Super Bowl window, it was gross negligence to show up to training camp and your number one receiver is Allen Lazard. I like Allen Lazard. I think he has a place here. Is he a number one receiver? No, he's not. No. He's not a number one receiver. He's a big body that can make plays, but he's not a guy down in and down out that you can rely on. They got Sammy Watkins, nice effort, but everybody pooped on the idea of getting like Juju coming here. You don't think he would look pretty good in a Packer uniform? Be playing better right now?
They wanted to re-sign MVS, right?
Well, that's the other thing now. People are actually going, whoa, we should have resigned MVS. Are you guys psychos? Like, what did you see in the 4 years he was here other than taking the top off the defense? They didn't win a Super Bowl. They lost a bunch of big games with him here. Obviously, they needed to reset the thing, but the problem was the plan didn't happen until Davante Adams left. So now we're stuck with the team that has a hard time just getting a first down. We have a stuck with a team where guys are dropping balls. Maybe in 2 years, Dobbs and Watson are aces and they're
I don't give a shit
players.
about 2 years from now, though.
But right now, you knew you had a window, and to go into the season just thinking this is going to fly, it's like, come on, man. I'm not paid any money to do any of this. Even I knew that was going to be a problem. So I don't know what to do. It's like they're in a position right now where it's like if they want to contend, or I shouldn't say contend, but make some kind of push this year, you're not going to be able to do it as is. You don't have it. You don't have enough time. So do you even part with a pick knowing that this might just be in the short term? I don't know, man, but I could go on for 10 years about this thing. It just absolutely drives me nuts.
Okay. I get what you're saying here, True North. I'm not going against that. But at the same time, too, as an organization, don't you just pivot a little bit? I mean, yes. Did you have this plan in mind in 2019? You thought he was on the downhill. You brought in this coach to spice things up because your old coach really didn't have much. He had a stale taste, really didn't engineer an offense that was catered to the new NFL. So you brought in this new hot young coach. He actually does bring some innovation to the offense. It actually makes your quarterback look like he's like 5 years younger, gets him an MVP. Like, okay, I feel like maybe you try to pivot how you take your team for the next couple of years. And then not only did you do that 1 year, you did it another year to get a back-to-back MVP. Yeah. Did it maybe spoil their plans of maybe trying to go with Jordan Love? Maybe. Yeah, probably. But at the same time, too, it's like, well, shit, now you got to deal with this. Okay, like now you have to deal with the fact that you also committed to this, butt munch for 3 more years for $50 million per year. So you clearly knew that you were like, well, maybe we can put Jordan Love aside and we can maybe go for another Super Bowl run here. So yet you still thought MVS was the guy for 2 more years. And then now you're like, oh, well, we lost Davante. We got some good capital back for him. But then we're pretty okay with Allen Lazard. I'm sorry. In what world does Allen Lazard on any defensive, meeting room, does anybody like, oh shit, yeah, we really need to worry about Allen Lazard today? No, nobody's saying that because he gets hurt every other play, gets out, he sits on the sideline. And when Randall Cobb is your most consistent receiver, which is shocking, it really makes it look like you guys are idiots in the scout room. And I know they're not idiots. I know they're getting paid a lot of money and they obviously know what they're doing. But at the same time, too, we've also seen Romeo Dobbs kind of tater off now into this like weird, okay, maybe he hit this rookie wall where, okay, shit, now things are, starting to be a little bit real for him in the NFL where, okay, I'm missing easy catches. There are some balls that have been pretty awful by Aaron Rodgers. I will admit that, but you've also kind of taken a drop. So now you thought you had this stud receiver that was like, oh shit, maybe we might be okay. With Sammy, Lazard, and go ahead.
Well, the common argument is like, oh, well, we got to be patient with the receivers. Like, yes, I absolutely agree. We have to be patient with the receivers. But the problem is we're having to be patient with receivers in such a consequential time. And it's like to not have another pair of steady hands here to help and allow those guys to come along. That's the travesty here. And again, like Fred said before, and we will touch on it, as much as we do need to put some blame on the receivers, albeit they're young guys and they're figuring out some of this, in a good chunk of it, frankly, needs to go to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how you can go on Pat McAfee today and sit there and say, well, the guys that are having all the mental errors, they need to sit down, and Tom Clements graded me out as my best grade of the year. It's like, okay, but what about when you throw the ball in the dirt? Or what about when you throw it at a guy's ankles? Or what about when you're trying to hit someone deep and it's 25 yards over their head and the refs can't call PI because it's uncatchable? It's like, you own a piece of this too. You need to be better and you need to hit the guys square in the numbers. And then on the other side of that, when he hits you in the numbers, you got to catch it. So there are there. I mean, there was the first pass he did to Lazard right in the hands, and he dropped it. I'm like, okay, here we go. It's gonna be that kind of game.
3 and out right away.
It's like, come on, So just it's everybody. The whole group has to be better. It's not one person or one position group. It's a collective effort in terms of why they're playing so poor.
And I don't like that because he has this platform on McAfee and the fact that he has this platform on press conferences, locker room interviews, obviously the post-game interviews on the field, whatever it may be, that he has the audacity to say that other people need to be taken away from snaps. But like, obviously, so should you not be taken from snaps then? Because the throws that you throw that are in the dirt, like Fred said, like Pistol Pete, and the throws that you overthrow, if Aaron Jones doesn't make an incredible grab on that sideline, that was also a shitty throw, in my opinion. I mean, maybe he was trying to place it, but Aaron Jones made a pretty acrobatic catch there. And you probably could have had another awesome throw to Amari, but you made it seem like he was Randy Moss, stretch length, and he had to make this diving catch. And of course, he drops it, and everybody's like, oh, damn it, Amari sucks. No, that ball sucked. Because here's the thing, you could have let him a little better, and that's not been the first time either. We've seen multiple times where these deep balls could have just been like, oh, you put it on stride with him, and he's probably gone. And so I'm a little angry. Sorry, I'm a lot angry that this guy is still saying this on national television and still thinking like with the smile on the face, well, I actually got my best grade from Tom Clemens.
It's like,
who gives a shit? You've been lost out of here, right?
Oh, it's your best grade of the year. And he's, chuckling about it. I'm like, I'm glad you're so, lighthearted about this entire thing. And it just feels like his whole demeanor this year is a little bit different. I'm not questioning his love for the game. Obviously, the guy bleeds football. He loves the Packers. He loves playing. But it's like he needs to look in the mirror a little bit more and hold himself more accountable, at least vocally out in public. It's like all of this finger pointing at the other guys, and they need to do this and they need to do that. It's like, at times, I need to sharpen my play. But we'll be specific about that. Like, you have such a photographic memory. You can tell me what play you ran 10 years ago against a team in week 8. But it's like you can't sit there and go, yeah, you know what? On third down this last week, I threw that one in the dirt. If I put that up here, it would have been better. It's just. He needs to be the one taking the bullets and taking the arrows for everybody, because I think it trickles down from the top. Going after Dobbs and the other young guys just isn't it. It does not a good look. And frankly, they're not the ones that need to be perfect. He's the one being paid $40 million, and he needs to play better, point blank.
I'm sorry. Breaking confidence of your rookies isn't going to achieve anything. If anything, yell at Alan Lazard for dropping that first ball. That's a quick slant that's right in his hands. Like, he can take it. He's been in the league. He was a practice squad guy on the Jaguars. He has been rising to the top. He understands criticism. If there's anybody that can handle that, it's him. It's Cobb. They've seen it all. Nothing's going to faze them if a quarterback yells at them. It's these rookies. Yeah, hopefully these rookies have a thick skin and they understand, look, this guy just wants me to be better and he wants me to, play at my best ability. Sure, but at the same time, too, if you're dogging them and say they don't need snaps, that's not going to get them more confidence. So I don't know what it's going to go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Someone had mentioned in the comments before, but I wanted to ask you, do you think that things would be different? Do you think there's anything to, if Rodgers was there during some of these off-season workouts, mini camps, whatever the case is, and the rookies were here, do you think that they'd be a little bit further along in their cohesion together? Or do you think that Rodgers is right, that none of that matters, that everything really, where the chemistry comes from is practice and the games?
It's absolute bullshit starting in July, man. Like, I don't understand why Matt LaFleur or whoever it is, and I know Aaron Rodgers was only saying, well, I'll play if we play. If they let us play, I'll play. Like, no, clearly you said no, because I'm pretty sure if Matt LaFleur said to you in a locker room conversation or a meeting, hey, do you guys actually want to play today? You guys probably told him either no, or you both decided that maybe it's not the right thing. But now you clearly see it. I was giving the first 3 weeks a pass. Fred kept saying it. It's only been 3 weeks. We're still winning games. It doesn't look great, but at least it's time to build. Let it figure it out itself. Okay. Well, we're now on week 7 or 6, whatever it is. And we go against the Bills now. Week 8. Yeah, sorry. We're going against the Bills now in their house where they've taken like what? I think they scored 35 points at home, like minimum. Like, and you're telling me we're just going to figure it out now? Like, the problem with this guy is that he just assumes that these guys are going to come out great, which I thought for a guy that's that smart that he would understand that these guys do need reps. But I think he thinks that there was just like all this talent, in practices and in training camp. Oh, they're learning, they're figuring it out, they understand what I'm doing. But then you were willing to call them out in a random practice saying these guys are not, a lot of mental mistakes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, then sit down with him, stay after, do whatever you have to, or play in preseason games. I'm tired of this excuse that he just expects these guys to figure it out and then has the audacity to say later on that maybe they should be taken away from their snaps. Go ahead.
I'm not a pro, man, and I'm not around the team to know this, but I would have to think, and this would be my argument for him showing up some during the offseason program, is like, you knew coming into this year that you didn't have Devontae Adams, and your most experienced receivers were going to be Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, and you're going to have young guys, and they're going to need to produce for you, and you're going to need to trust them during the season because there are going to be injuries, there are going to be other circumstances where guys that aren't your top two are going to have to step up. And I think it would have gone a long way for him to be there. So these other guys understand his tendencies. He always talks about, well, I don't need the reps. I don't need the reps. You might not, but you know who does are the guys who've never played with you before. The guys who have never taken an NFL
They're learning
snap.
the NFL right now.
Yes. So if you gave them some of that information, like route depth, he's very particular about, when you run this route, you got to do it this way, or you got to kind of rub that way off, whatever the case is. Get them that knowledge. So then when they're back at home or they're doing their own drills, they're doing that with that in mind. And then when they show up for training camp, now you have some of that stuff out of the way and you can dig further into the details and get on the same page. I just think when it comes to being a leader and you're paid that much money, your presence matters. And I don't think showing up late July and trying to, fast forward all that worked out. It didn't. They clearly needed more time. And I think this might be a work in progress into next year, frankly.
Yeah, I hope so too. And quick shout out to Fred. I hope you feel better, man. That's why he's not here tonight, but we miss you. He'll be here probably next week. And we'll have the three of us back together. Yeah, honestly. And this is exactly what Iowa Joe was saying. I do think that this offense or what, and actually, no, I'm not going to keep harping on the preseason, whatever, but that I will say this. Whatever we do now or trade deadline, whatever it is, you lose to the Bills this week, right? You have the Eagles, I think, next week, right?
No, Lions and Cowboys.
Lions, Cowboys, right? Yeah. Sorry. You go into this little mini gauntlet, but whatever player you bring in, it's going to take him like 2 more weeks to get adjusted. So let's just say you lose this week. You're now 3-5, right? Now you play the Lions, who have a lot of dog in them, and they ain't going to just sit down because you're the Packers and, story says Lions lose to the Packers. That's not how this goes anymore. So they maybe play you a lot harder. You take them lightly because you're not, you're worried more about Big Mike coming back into town. And then you lose this game. You're 3-6. Oh, but because you traded for DJ Moore, oh, shit's all good now. Packer fans are happy. They think, run the table. Here we go. No. You're at 6 losses, and now you have to basically win out just to even, consider yourself as a wild card team. I'm telling you right now, from the beginning of the season, I know Fred was all about letting them, ride it out. I know he said it is a problem now at week 8. It is definitely a damn problem, and I've been saying this. I never thought they were going to get used to each other and chemistry-wise because they weren't playing in the preseason. And that Vikings game, forget what you want to say about being the first game, whatever. It was telling, though. It was really telling about what kind of Rodgers we were going to get, and I've not seen a different Rodgers since that game. I've not seen at all a glimpse of that MVP. Yeah, sure, maybe that sideline throw to Lazard. He has maybe one throw a game at this point where I'm like, oh, okay, sure, you're going to throw it now. But everything else is just dog shit. Let's move to the defense.
Let's do it.
Well, this defense. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you got it.
Defense. It's interesting to me because you have all these all pros and pro bowlers and just high, picks. And it is interesting to know that the one guy that I thought I could rely on the most is the guy that just got paid. Okay. The guy that I have a jersey of, that you were going to buy a jersey of. This guy who's a lot of zest, a lot of flair, a lot of, swagger. I like it. The kid's good. The kid has this, it factor that, maybe he could potentially be in that, potential Woodson conversation. Not saying that he is, but like, he's got that kind of, moxie about him. But then you got absolutely owned by Scary Terry the entire game. The guy had 5 catches, and I know every freaking catch that he had, and it was glaring that you were just not ready for this game or ready for him. And it was like we saw the pass coming too, and yet there was very minimal coverage also. And I don't know if he always thinks that, maybe he's got help, but some of the routes that are just like your basic out route from the 10 yards, like pretty much the last route that we saw, you don't come back to the ball and you just got beat. And to me, that's a little scary for me because we've kind of, crowned this guy as like one of the top cornerbacks in the league. And I still do think he's very, very good. I do. And I hope that this is just one bad game and he, bounces back. Even if we lose next week, I hope it's not because he's getting just demolished by Stephon Diggs or whoever he's on or whatever situation it is. I really hope he has a kind of a comeback game because this was definitely one of his, worst games as his Packer career is so young. So I really hope this is something that he can just, just kind of like erase out of his memory and then kind of come back to being a Pro Bowl kind of corner. Your thoughts still though on this, front seven, because yes, we've seen Javonte Campbell have an all-pro year last year. Obviously, we probably thought he would kind of regress a little bit, but he still should be this guy, like this captain that you should rely on. Had the huge pick 6 that it's kind of funny that he has better hands than Ja. But you have this big play and you're like, oh man, this guy's got it. But then yet you still get gashed in the run game by, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Your thoughts on the front seven?
I might be in the minority here, but like I have a less of a problem with the defense. I feel like although they're very head scratching, because at least on the offensive side, it's like you kind of knew they were going to come in and struggle defensively. I'm not really sure, what to point at. But the way a lot of these games have unfolded is that they've kept us in the game, or by the end of it, it's like they kept the other team at a low enough point total where if the offense was just competent, they either would win or it would be a closer game. And I feel like they can maybe turn it around a little bit quicker. But in regards to the front seven, the biggest issue with the defense right now is definitely the run defense. And pretty much every game at this point, the opposing team is getting what they want on the ground. They're gashing us. They're keeping the defense on the ground for a long time. They're having a hard time getting off the field on third down. And so that's all contributing to, these second halves, or I guess in this case, it was a full game or against the Jets, the same thing. It's just like you have to sustain that type of momentum throughout the game, and whatever you're doing is to keep it up. You need your stars to play better. You called out Jair Alexander. I think he maybe needed a little slice of humble pie this week to be reminded that, hey, guess what? The other guy across from you, he's pretty good too. And any given day they can show up and have a hell of a game. But as Fred's saying right here, it's like at some point, it's like, defensively, I'm sure, and Richard Sherman talked about it on that Thursday night game, when you have an offense that goes out and can barely, every play is a struggle. They can hardly get a first down. At some point in each game, that defense is like, God, I'm going out here and I'm busting my ass every play. We're getting them the ball back, and they go 3 and out in a cloud of dust and have to punt the ball. I'm sure at some point deep into these second halves, the defense, and you can almost see it. They're like, yeah, okay, I think I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna put it all into this one. It's hopeless. So in order for this team to bounce back, it's like, yeah, you're going to one is turnovers. You got to generate turnovers. And this game early on felt like there was going to be several. They had the pick 6 by Campbell, who looked great. Should have had the scoop and score by Douglas, but the refs blow that phantom penalty on Stokes. And there's probably 3 or 4 other pickable balls that Rasul Douglas got his hands on and couldn't haul it in. That's one of the problems here. But the front, it's like the weird thing is they get pressure. Like every game, they're credited with 20 some pressures on the quarterback. Maybe they're not always getting home, but they're at least disrupting the play. And it's not translating into punts often. It's not translating into turnovers. So I think the best thing for the defense is going to be for the offense to figure it the hell out and allow them to rest. It's tough to go and play the majority of the second half or the majority of the first half. They need complementary football on this team, and right now it is not happening.
I want to highlight this comment because this is absolutely awesome. Yes, they are getting stops. Yes, they are getting the Rodgers the ball back, but we're going 3 and out. But I do see that there's a point to this because I do feel like whatever team it is, Jets, Giants, Commanders, Patriots, Bears, Vikings, Bucks, they are able to do whatever they actually. I'm going to take out the Bucks because we actually did.
They've been a rough go at it too.
Well, I mean, their running game we actually did pretty well against them in the run.
We did
until the very end, like last couple of drives. But every team just seems to do whatever they want. You let Mike LaFleur come in here and run whatever hillbilly offense he had, and he had all these little reverse jet sweeps, and then you just hand it off to Breece Hall, who went off. Shout out to him. Pour one out for him. Torn ACL. Sucks for the kid.
Ripped by fantasy team.
Yeah.
He was just coming on.
But you look at Bill Belichick, not an offensive guru over there, whoever's calling plays, Matt Patricia, whoever it is. And yet Bailey Zappi was able to just teardrop all these passes on us and almost makes this miraculous comeback. And we barely escape by there. And then you look at the Bears too, able to run down the field on us very first drive. Now, granted, we did play a little better. We did hold them, but it just felt like, we didn't score the ball or we didn't score in that second half, except for I think 3 points. So I do like this comment because it is very true. I feel like Joe Barry, as good as the defense has shown in glimpses, I do feel like there has never been this moment where I'm like, damn, they cannot do anything on one side of the ball or whatever it is, if it's running or if it's passing, whatever it may be. I do feel like every team just feels like they can do whatever they need in their playbook. And somehow, as long as they, keep trying, because they know that offense of Green Bay is not going to do anything, they can stick around. Because look at all these comebacks. You're seeing these games. It's like late in the game, and these guys have better drives, in late third, early fourth, whatever it is, because they just hung around long enough. You look at the Jets, you look at the Commanders. Go ahead.
They can't put anybody away, and that's on the offense. Just look at the last 3 games, okay? Giants game, you're up, 21-10 or something like that. You're up a good amount of points, and then the offense completely goes to sleep in the second half.
Yep.
The defense did their best, but at some point, it's like when you're on the field the whole time, you just can't stop. The other team gets paid too. They're also professionals. The Jets game, I think it was 3-3 at halftime or something like that. Some very low score. The defense played great in the first half, but lo and behold, in the second half, no offensive point support. And the next thing you know, it's a blowout. And this game, this past weekend, felt just like the Giants game. You're up, 14-3? You're looking good. The defense is smothering the Washington. They're getting Heineke to throw bad passes. It looked like on the surface at the beginning, this is going to be a blowout.
Heineke in the last 2 drives or 3 drives, whatever it was.
And then by the end of the game, the offense is gone and the defense is gassed, and they can no longer hold up. It's the same formula week in and week out. They have to score points. The offense has to figure out a way to not just vanish. Look at, they played 7 games. In all 7 games, the offense either didn't show up completely or they played one half of football. They have not played a complete game, nor has the defense. But to me, it's like if the offense showed up better and had a better product, the defense wouldn't be put in some of the positions they've been in. Because I do think if the offense was just more competent, the defense has played well enough to have won most of these games that they lost.
Yes.
Truthfully.
Yeah. And I will say, as much as we're dogging both of the basically this team, I do think, and I think everybody in this chat will agree, the turning point was that Amari Rodgers muff. I do think they just never got any sort of momentum back. You have a home crowd in Washington, and yet somehow I still heard Commander cheers because they just felt like they were never out of it. And you get a big turnover like that. You set now. Granted, I think they actually didn't even score on that drive.
They got 3. They got 3 points.
Did they get 3 or was that the missed field goal? I forgot which section that was, but still,
because the muff happened so close to the, so they got a 3 points out of it. The defense held them up.
That was 3. So it's like it just never felt like, okay, yes, defense somehow holds them to 3 points, but that offense was just like, well, shit, what do we do? Like I don't know. It's the thing, right? Like it's
the thing. They did the thing. Again, they ran it to perfection. Like the 4th or 5th time they've done it this year. They ran it to perfection. That's what they're best at.
Shout out to Pat O'Donnell. All right. Guy's the only guy that's getting hero of the game for a game. We haven't done our segment yet in this season, but interesting.
He's a beast, dude.
Yeah, this guy is like
dropping dimes.
Put him in the Hall of Fame. Put him in the Ring of Honor in Green Bay, man. I think it's this is one of the punters I haven't seen a puncher like this since like maybe I don't even know. Tim Mastey? No, not Tim Mastey. Who's
not
a
even
really
Timmy,
great
man. I didn't even know before that.
Craig Hentrick? Craig Hentrick? I don't know, man. This is kind of crazy that we've gotten like someone so like, lethal with his foot. I mean, outside of that block punt, I mean, I'm just gonna call that a coverage thing.
Not even his fault.
Yeah, I'm not going to give this guy any fault at all. I mean, unless he absolutely just hits like one of those like weird like Chris Bojorquez, 20-yard punts. I'm not going to shit on this guy ever, honestly. Shout out to Mason Crosby too. He's been pretty at least when he's been called, he's made his field goals. Granted, he needed to hit anything over 50 yards. I want to ask you about that last play. Somehow we get this miracle catch down the field. I was wondering, we had like 7 seconds left. Why not still try one more like out route and then try to kick like a 60-yard? Like, do they absolutely know that he can't kick 60 yards? Like, do they know? And they're like, okay, yep, his limit's like 55. We're done. Like, I would just give it a shot. It's better seeing that than some asshole like, oh, we're going to throw it around. And then at the very end, I'm going to have Rodgers throw one right in between the feet of an offensive lineman who's not even supposed to catch the ball. And it was so embarrassing. And I absolutely laugh at these teams that do this at the end of the game because it never works. It only works in like college. And yet here's the Packers doing it twice in one season and not getting it. I would rather have seen, I don't even know, Pat O'Donnell try to kick a 60-yarder if Mason doesn't have the leg. Or hell, I'd even love to see like Randall Cobb. I don't even care. Someone other than that play at the end of the game.
The play was a joke. I know they ended up saying, well, we opted to do that because of Rodgers' thumb, but that doesn't explain why they did it early in the year. I'm sorry, but throw the Hail Mary. There's a 0% chance laddering the ball around and hoping someone breaks free works. I think I've seen it one time, and it was like way back when the Saints did it against like the Jaguars and like 15 years ago. Otherwise, it never works. But you know what you do have? You do have a quarterback who might be the best ever at throwing Hail Marys, who I've seen with my own eyes, and all of you have complete 3 of them.
Though, that offensive line wouldn't hold up long enough for that Hail Mary to finish out. I mean,
I'd much rather try that
But we did though in London.
And they couldn't block it, but it's like I'd still rather try that out. I don't know. I feel like if you're going for the win, the 1% on the Hail Mary is better than the 0% on the fumble receipt.
I'd rather see him get sacked again like he did in London than see that like horrendous play like what Jason's saying. Seeing that again, because that to me is like that is the image of a team that's not making the playoffs. That's like the Jaguars of the old, right? You just see this team that's just like, oh man, we're actually in this game. Maybe we should try this. That's what that team is. Because a real confident team, a playoff team, a team that's been there, which we have, a team that has a MVP quarterback, your reigning MVP quarterback, would never even have the thought process of doing that play because their team was never in this situation in the first place because they're so good on paper, but they're dog shit in actual play. So
I don't know, man. I don't get that whatsoever. I'd rather just throw the Hail Mary. And even if it's a 5-yard short, you have a chance to at least try to, still jump in the end zone. I don't know. I mean, the fact that we have to dissect the end of the game.
That's the problem.
Says everything about
this. Discussing this. And then I feel like I have more emotion for this team and their horrible losses than they do actually playing on the. This has always been my one thing about pro sports. I'm not a big college guy because I just there's so many players I just don't know enough, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of defense. It just seems like there's back and forth scoring. But for God's sakes, though, they have passion. You know, they're not getting paid. I mean, I guess now it's a little bit different, but it just seems to me like that part of it has kind of gone away. Maybe, and you know what? Maybe this is like an appreciation for Dan Campbell. I think the guy's a psychopath, but at least there's like this, like, you know, this sort of like old like legacy of just playing for like each other, this band of brothers kind of thing. I do feel like as dog shit as the Lions are, at least they fight for each other and they at least put it on the line. And I feel like they have way more passion and emotion into their games, and they actually care that they lost. Like, I just feel like for the Packers, it's just like, oh shit, we lost. I mean, I still got millions in my bank, but go ahead.
It's a very I don't know, like a very even keeled, unemotional team, at least on the surface. I don't know in the locker room, so I don't know.
Or they're just delusional. Maybe they're just like, well, we're gonna figure it out eventually, right? Well, guess what? We're at week 8. Like, you got half the games left.
Well, I feel like they've adopted their quarterback's mentality. Hey, man, it's all good, bro. We're going to be fine, man. Just manifest your thoughts, man. Just think positive. It's all going to work out. Well, you still have to play the game. You still have to come out and beat the guy across from you.
Manifest on its own.
Yeah, get that shit out of here. I'd rather just produce.
I do feel like when we always complain that they don't adjust, they don't make, you know, adjustments at half, like the defense doesn't, like what David said, make someone feel like, you know, they're one-dimensional, whatever it is. The offense can't figure out how to change their strategy after, you know, they have a flawless, you know, opening script. I do feel like it's a lot of it's just like they don't realize that there's another team playing the same sport as them and that they get paid too, and that they do figure, you know, they're not going to just get shit on by you because you did something pretty cute for the first series. Like, that to me is just like the mind-boggling thing. And maybe, yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just this asshole that sits in my basement in front of a mic. But you know what? What I see on the TV shows me something, and I don't know. I go ahead.
Well, Iowa Joe said my hippie voice, so I am drinking a high and hazy IPA today. So trying to channel, you know, hey man, but
hey man, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know, man. This team, they need some fire from somewhere. I watched some of these other teams, and they are just jacked up to be out there. They're flying around, they're pumping each other up. Our guys are just kind of whatever. I mean, it almost feels like they're resting on their laurels a little bit. Hey, we've won 13 games the last 3 years. Like, nobody cares. Like, and we all gripe about
give
like
a shit. Everybody knows you're gonna win 13 games. I think I've heard Kyle Brandt say, "Yep, the Packers are probably gonna win 13 games, 14 games, get to the playoffs, lose in divisional round." That's what everybody knows is the Green Bay Packers. That's exactly why we're like, this guy is one of the greatest seasonal quarterbacks, but he's one of the most dog shit playoff quarterbacks.
It really is. I don't know. To me, it's a top-down coaching. We've talked about it on the show. They have a lack of vocal leaders on the field. Like, they have a lot of really good players, the guys that can play by example. But sometimes you need somebody to get in someone's face to try to get them jacked up.
Hey, let's talk about this quick before we get to predictions and end the show. I know we kind of alluded to this earlier, and a part of me is like oh my God, you know, and thank you, Fred, for bringing this question up because I knew we would probably talk about it, the three of us. A lot of me is just always like, damn, yeah, man, it would be just awesome to see DJ Moore come in here with the number 5 jersey. Or not 5, God, that's like a sinful thing to say. Whatever jersey number he is right now in Carolina, but he comes in here and he just, you know, rocks out with that, comes in with the visor. Same thing with like OBJ or you know, I know there's a lot of talk about Chase Claypool. I know we were kind of texting back and forth. Apparently they're like asking for the world for this guy. I'm sorry. Who the hell do you think you're trading? Are we getting Deontay Johnson or Chase Claypool? I'm sorry. I'm not giving you what did they say? It was a king ransom. It was like a first and a third or something. What did you say?
I don't think they're going to get that.
No,
I mean, no like a Christian McCaffrey kind of haul. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey went for 2 seconds and like something else. And you think Chase Claypool? Because I mean, I do think, you know, when it comes to DJ Moore or him, it is nice that DJ is a little bit younger. Like, he's a little bit older, but he's got the contract that's a little bit more sustainable. Chase Claypool is younger, but I don't know if we need another big guy. Like we already had, like Chase Claypool to me is just like, a sexier, younger version of Lazard to me, in my opinion. And I don't need another Lazard. I want like a guy that could potentially like, stretch the field, but also just run crisp routes inside the field, like in the middle of the 20s. Like that's who I kind of want. And I know OBJ and DJ Moore, I don't even know what Elijah Moore will give me. I mean, he's maybe like a younger, flashier version of Cobb probably, because he's a little bit smaller. But your thoughts on who you'd want? I'm hearing. Well, True North also throwing out Jerry Jeudy out there too. But
number one, they should trade the third pick. They can't draft in the third round. They never have.
Yeah.
They blow it every year.
I mean,
so just trade for somebody with that third pick.
Minimal respect to Josiah DeGuara, because I know Fred would actually hate us shitting on Josiah. So, but yeah, he was a third rounder too.
I'm not shitting on him, but they drafted him. They don't throw to him. They don't include him at all. So what were they thinking there? If he's such an asset, anyway. Frankly, I'm done with the defense, and they've gotten all these first round picks. What is it? 8th first.
You don't want Bradley Chubb?
Of course I want Bradley Chubb, but it's like, how many more guys do you need to add to the defense and get the same goddamn results? Every year it's the same shit. They draft defense. It's the same product every year. And they've done it.
Devontae White made a tackle today.
He did. It was nice looking. So to me, it's like you got to draft a playmaker. Not draft a trade for one. I don't know that they have to at this point. It's like, I guess if you're thinking, well, this team, we still want to make a run for it, then yeah, you have to, because you're not making a run with who you currently have in the team.
I mean, here's the thing. You have nothing to lose, right?
Well, you don't want to, they're going to need the draft picks.
There's cap hell next year. What the hell is going to matter?
What I'm saying is there are going to be a lot of guys who are going to be leaving because of cap casualties, and they're going to have to reload the roster with young guys. And so if you go move a bunch of draft picks for a guy that you aren't going to sign long-term or who's a little bit older, I think it's a waste. So if you are going to go trade for somebody mentioned, Jerry Jeudy, a guy like that, I would take, Chase Claypool. My argument for the Adams thing was like, you needed somebody. You're not going to get a guy with his skill set, so I'm not saying that, but somebody who offers kind of what he offers: a great route runner, a guy who knows how to get separation at the line, and a guy who has good hands. So you need that. If a guy's 6'3", if he's 6'1", whatever, go ahead and make the trade. But it begged the question. Also at the same time is like, if the reality of this team is they're not going to be a contender, should you even be buying? Do you maybe want to consider selling?
Hey, let's see. Let's talk about it, because you know what? We play the Bills. We get absolutely shit stomped, in Buffalo and upstate New York. I want the whole chat to give me your answer. You can say yes or no. Hell no. Sandra, you're an idiot. Matt, you're an idiot. But does that mean potentially that the Packers are sellers, knowing that they're like 3-5? You got this disgruntled. Maybe he's not disgruntled, but you just have this like diva of a quarterback that just, won't follow your offense. If I'm Matt LaFleur, maybe I'm having a closed door, meeting with Brian. Say, look, man, let's just get rid of some of these, guys that with big contracts. Let's start scratch. I'll get you Jordan Love. This is your guy. Let's get some talent around him in the draft, whatever it may be. Is that even a possibility? Sell who? Amos? I mean, maybe someone needs a safety. Sell
Savage,
Bakhtiari. Maybe sell Preston Smith. Someone needs a edge rusher. Someone needs I don't even know, man.
I don't know who you sell, but the point more so was like, should we be mortgaging this next year? I mean, I know I sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I also didn't think we'd be 3-4 headed into the Buffalo game. I really didn't.
Right.
But to kind of segue into the Buffalo game, I think it ties in. To me, this is the season. I know it's a tall ask. Yes, if they want to,
season not 3 weeks ago.
Come on. Well, listen, hear me out. If they want to turn this around, going into Buffalo, perceived as the best team in the NFL, your backs are all the way against the wall. Absolutely nobody thinks you're going to win this game, and everybody's thinking you're going to drop to 3-5. If you can pull something off in this game, that could be the exact moments that this season is flipped. I know it's going to take an act of God, and it sounds insane, but it's like, if they can do that, then I think it changes the perception, everything for the rest of this season. And Fred just said, what if we lose, we play a solid game? You know what? It could give you some hope. But I think you got to try to find a way to win. This is exactly
the problem with both of you, because you know what? If he was here, you guys would both be sipping on that Packer Kool-Aid. No. You homers. I know you're trying to find
time out. I
the
just
positivity.
I said it would take
I know.
an act of God to win the game. I'm not saying they're
Yeah,
going to.
Still, I know what's going to happen in about 5 seconds or 5 minutes. I know what's going to happen. I know it. I see what you're saying, though. You're right. Backs against the wall. This is literally your, moment to either say, look, NFL, we're here. We've just been playing like dog shit for 3 weeks. And we're going to go take down Josh Allen. This is going to be David versus Goliath.
Aaron Rodgers always talked about this, and I do believe it's a correct thing. He always says, every year you have to relearn how to win games. You do. You have to see it out. You have to feel what it feels like again. You got to know what the process looks like. And I think that's where they're at. They've played so poorly, and even in the games they've won, they've had to hold on for dear life to pull it off. So coming out here and getting that a huge win to me would change everything. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But it's like, to me, it's like you have to put it all in this game. You got to push all your chips in. If you're holding out stuff in the playbook, it's time. No time like the present. It's time to bust it out, because if you win that game, you got to go to Detroit, it's a beatable team. And maybe you're sitting 5-4, and it's a completely different place of being in than going into one of those games at 3-5 or 3-6. I don't know. And when it goes to go back and tie a ball on the whole trade thing, it's like, no matter what, they're going to have to add talent to the wide receiver room. So if you can get somebody who's young, still on a rookie deal, go ahead and make the move if you plan on committing to them long term. If they're a rental, I got to think you got to pass on it then. But to me, it's like, you got to start thinking about the future of that room. You haven't really in the past. Now you got to do it.
This is going to be probably the hardest game to choose and make a prediction. Honestly, it really will be. I do truly think, out of all the years that you and I have been doing this, and also with Fred, this has got to be the hardest game that I've ever had to pick. I don't even care if there was a chip on the line against the Saints, or if I had to, shave my head against I don't even remember what that pick was. This truly has to, because you've made a convincing argument. So damn you, Matthew. Damn you. All right. It is that time. It is the Bills. Obviously, we know Josh Allen. They just got coming off a bye. We'll see if this team is,
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Yeah, they've had plenty of time to prepare for this dog shit offense that hasn't done anything. But what do we have in store for the Bills is actually the biggest question, because this team has every cylinder cooking right now. It's a team that just cannot be stopped right now. And the one thing that's going for us is that they have no run game, but I guess they have Josh Allen. So I don't know if we're gonna have to worry about Devin Singletary or Zach Moss or James Cook, I think his name is, to run all over us. But you never know. I think Josh Allen could definitely do it. But Matt, your prediction, I think Fred just gave his. He is picking, of course, the Kool-Aid is absolutely fresh from this guy. 30-28, 2-point win for Fred Zillow over there. But we've been preparing for this game all season. This is what I'm telling. He's been on this bit all year long. Maybe they're just holding off all their good stuff until week, whatever. What'd you say this is? Week 8?
Week 8.
This is what you've been waiting for, is to be 3-4, be one of the laughable teams in the NFC/NFL, and this is your moment that you're waiting for? Go ahead, Matt, take it away.
Well, this is their biggest test. This is their biggest test. I said it last week. They're at their lowest moment under the LaFleur era. I think, Sanjay, even you would agree that right now is the lowest moment under LaFleur.
You're damn right.
Losses.
You're damn right.
They're in the basement right now, and they got to be feeling it. They're getting shit on from the national media, the fan base. They're getting dumped on by the local guys, everybody. I just want to believe, in the worst way, that this team finds a way to get the job done. Does it look impossible? You damn right it does. Does it look likely? Not at all. But you know what? Weird shit happens. Teams dig deep and they find it out. And I want to believe that the Packers can do that. So head and heart.
Sue.
I understand
Sue,
it's
where you at?
illogical, but I'm going to just one last time, William Wallace,
William Wallace.
stand up for what's right. The Packers go into Buffalo. No one believes in them. They find a way to get the job done. They win the game 27-24, and the season's changed. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be right back here to bury them in the grave that they're currently lying.
That's so twisted. You know, you're not William Wallace. You're Davy Crockett. He went down with the Alamo, okay? We want to get a little history action here. So, yeah, of course, shocking. Matt and Fred picked to win the game against the team, the one team that is absolutely undefeated. Well, actually, they're not.
I'm trying to pull an Aaron Rodgers. I'm trying to manifest a win.
Manifest what?
A win. I'm going to try out his.
You're trying to RELAX me? You're trying to say you're going to run the table?
Pulling out his voodoo magic. I'm doing it.
Man. Oh, my God.
Blue of the earth would approve.
Next time, I'm just going to not come to the show. You and Fred can just sit here and drink that juice. I'm picking us to lose this game. And you know what?
I'm not even going to blame you for that. I'm not going to dump on you for that.
I think it's going to be, I'm going to throw, I don't even know why, but you know what? It's that time.
Do it.
And
if it's me, don't do it. But if it's something else, do it.
We don't even have it. We don't even have one. But you know what? I'm just gonna say it. It's gonna be a 40 burger.
The wrong way. You can't put a 40 burger up for the other team.
I can when we're this bad. Look, we got the gray and white logo behind us because it's dark days ahead of us, baby. This is exactly what situation you put us through, Goot, not getting us a receiver. This is exactly what you put us through, Aaron Rodgers, not practicing with your receivers in the preseason and playing in the preseason, and then just thinking that everybody's just going to be awesome when week 2 comes. This is your fault, Matt LaFleur, for not sticking to the game and running it with Aaron Jones, because clearly he's your best player. So this is what happens. I picked 40 burgers against us, and it's going to be 42 to, like, I don't even know. Do we even score more than 14 points? When's the last time? I mean, we did score 20 something. You know what? I'm going to say 17, 40-17. I'm going to take the whatever Bills
points
to cover. I'm going to take, I think they're 10.5 point favorites, I think, or 13.5. What are they? I think it's like the largest deficit that they've ever been on Rodgers' era. I think it's 10 points. I think
10 points.
13.
10
so 10 points. I'm going to take that cover because I've been taking the cover from all the opponents of the Packers in the last 4 weeks. I've taken Giants, Jets, Commanders, and now I'll take the Bills. That's how it's going to go down. I get it. You Packer fans think it's going to be some sort of miracle from
No. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just projecting. I want it to happen. Because here's the thing. They cannot come out and get ran out of the stadium. They cannot do it. If they go and they get bushwhacked on national TV for everyone to see, I don't even know that I'll show up for the show on Tuesday. I'm not going to show my face.
No. You eat your crow like you're supposed to right on this show. 6
of
o'clock,
course.
With all these awesome fans at 6 o'clock
course.
with Fred, and then you somehow make up your pile of excuses that we should have probably won the game. I'm going to just sit there and say, yeah, I told you so. We were never in the...
Okay, and if they win, what are you going to do? You kiss some ass?
First off, that's the most disgusting thing to do on camera. Like what? Just gonna be some ass?
Yeah, I'll bring my big ass down there, and you can plant one on it.
You know what? I don't know what I'd do.
Well, we'll just see when it happens.
It's not gonna happen. You know what? It's the Packers are not winning this game. All right, just telling you this right now. I will do the whatchamacallit thing if the Packers win this game.
What?
I'll do that, like, whoosh.
What is that?
When they get the, like, Brazilian whoosh.
Look, wax your arm?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, we'll make it happen. I don't even know what that is, but we'll do it.
I don't either. I don't even know if you can get these things. But I'm sure it's going to suck a lot. But I'll do that if the Packers win.
You have to eat fruit, a bowl. You have to eat a fruit salad.
Oh, I'd rather do that.
Oh, then wax your arm? Yeah, I bet you do.
All right. Matt, any final words you want to say?
No, I truly I truly hope the Packers can figure it out. I'm sick of coming on this show every single week and absolutely burying this team. Like, I want to be excited about them. I want to come on here and have a lot of positive stuff to say. I just don't right now because there's nothing to hang my head on. So this is the week that they can turn it around, and I want them to do it really bad.
You know what? As much as we shit on this team, as much as I pick us to lose, there is nothing in this world that will ever change, and that is the fact that we love coming on this show and doing a show for you guys that you guys all come out to, especially to all of our really loyal people that come in each and every week. That is always meant the world to Fred, Matt, and I. And so we will always keep doing it, regardless if we are 0-16 or if we are 16-0. We will come here if we can, God willing, if we're healthy, if whatever it is. So thank you so much for, again, coming on a Tuesday at 6:00. I know it's we're all getting used to this new show time, but we really appreciate it. With that being said, enjoy the week, enjoy the weekend. It's a Sunday night football. No matter what, that's always fun. Regardless if we get shit stomped, it's always fun when it is under the lights. You got Rodgers and you got Josh Allen. It's going to still be something fun to watch. Enjoy the game. That's Matt. I'm Sanjay. Go, Pack.
Pack.
Go!